Welcome to The Explainer. You know the drill. We break down big ideas so you don't have to.
All right, let's just jump right in with a question, and I bet this one hits home for a lot of you. You're successful, right? You're crushing your goals, building something amazing, but you've got that feeling, deep down, that you're just running on fumes. So what's that all about?
Well, believe it or not, a big part of the answer could be this. Think about it. You go to the doctor, you get a checkup, they run a standard blood test, and you think, okay, I'm covered. But what if I told you that that test only shows you about 1% of what's really going on with your health? Just 1%.
So what in the world is happening in that other 99%? That's what we're digging into today. We're going to connect the dots between your body, your mindset, and your life to figure out what it really takes to go from just succeeding to actually thriving.
Okay, first up, the hidden health picture. We're going way beyond that basic blood test. Let's start with the foundation for everything else, your physical health. And you're going to see some pretty surprising stuff that a typical checkup might just miss.
Okay, look at this number, 113. On its own, it means nothing, right? But check this out. In a super detailed health assessment we're looking at, someone got this score for their digestion. Now here's the kicker. A normal, healthy score is somewhere between 8,000 and 13,000. So yeah, 113 is a gigantic red flag.
What that number meant was that this person's body was using 10 times more energy than it should just to digest food. 10 times. And you want to know what was causing this massive energy leak? It wasn't some rare disease. It was things like eating a Hot Pocket.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because it all comes down to a habit. You know that entrepreneurial habit of eating super fast to get back to work? Well, that habit was literally causing physical damage. Food wasn't getting chewed, it was damaging a key valve in the stomach, and then big chunks of food were just sitting there, impossible to digest, in the 18 minutes the body has to do its job.
And get this wasn't something that just happened overnight. This person had been doing this for 25 years. Imagine that, a quarter of a century of rushed meals, each one doing a tiny bit of damage, all adding up to that huge energy drain.
And speaking of things we get wrong, check this out. Which is worse for your blood sugar, jasmine rice or just plain table sugar? We all think sugar, duh. But nope, for some people, jasmine rice can actually spike your blood sugar more than table sugar. It's just a crazy reminder that healthy isn't one size fits all. It's so personal. So this whole idea of questioning conventional wisdom, it doesn't just stop with food. It's exactly the same when we talk about mindset. So let's shift gears and talk about rethinking your inner framework. Because just like our bodies, our minds have their own operating systems, and sometimes they really need an update.
So here's this really powerful concept. It's called the scientist's scaling. The idea is simple, but kind of wild. You take a big goal, and instead of giving yourself, say, a year to do it, you give yourself a month. The point is to collapse the timeline so intensely that it forces you to innovate. You literally can't use your old methods.
It's all about creating insane constraints. You set an audacious goal, you radically shorten the timeline, and suddenly you're forced to eliminate all the fluff. All that stuff that feels productive but doesn't actually get you there, gone. You have no choice but to find the absolute most direct path forward. It's brutal, but it works.
Okay, but here's the danger zone. You can't just operate at that level of intensity forever. It's not sustainable. One of the speakers pointed out a really clear pattern. Anytime they worked 3 weekends in a row, they got sick, every single time. It's a hard lesson. High performance demands high recovery. It's not optional.
And that balance between pushing hard and resting deep, that's not just about avoiding getting sick. It leads us to the final piece of the puzzle, and maybe the most important one, emotional wealth and resilience. I mean, what's the point of all that success if you're miserable, right?
Let me tell you a quick story to show you what I mean. It all starts with this mobile home. Someone bought it with a credit card for $5,000.
Okay, so fast forward a bit. After some smart moves, that same $5,000 mobile home, it gets sold for $100,000.
So that's an $80,000 cash profit from a credit card swipe. Pretty amazing. But honestly, the money, that's not even the interesting part of this story.
The real story is right here. The person behind this deal said, "My strong attachment to buildings greatly influenced my highs and lows." And this is so common, right? Especially for builders or creators. Your whole identity, your self-worth gets wrapped up in the things you build. But then there was a huge shift. Later on, when selling a different property, they said the experience resulted in zero emotional attachment. Think about that.
going from your entire emotional state being tied to a building to complete freedom. It's a move from finding your worth in what you own to finding it in who you are.
And that's really the whole point, isn't it? True wealth isn't just about the number in your bank account. It's about resilience. It's about being able to actually be present with the people you care about. It's about connection. That's the real currency.
So that brings us all the way back to where we started. Remember that 1%? That's what a blood test shows you about your body. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. What's your 1%? What's the one truth about your mindset or your emotional life that you've been missing? Because finding that could be the key to unlocking the entire other 99% of what it means to not just be successful, but to actually truly thrive.